Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. What is going on, good people, here on this Wednesday evening? Coming to you live for another Pittsburgh Sports News live stream, because tomorrow there will not be one of these. There will not be a normal news live stream. Instead, it is a good day because it is the first day, opening day, for the 2026 Major League Baseball season, featuring the New York Mets and your Pittsburgh Pirates. We will be live for that tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully, all of you watching this right now come back to join us live tomorrow at around 1 o'clock. First pitch will probably be somewhere in the 15 to 20-minute range after that, but it is exciting. A new era, hopefully, for Pittsburgh Pirates baseball, and hopefully a season with much success that will get our first Bucktober in about a decade. Hopefully the beginning of that season, it gets off to a hot start tomorrow. Pirates versus Mets at 1 o'clock. Please come on back. I'll make the live stream here shortly after tonight's show to talk about that game. So go and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so that you know when we are live for that tomorrow. But instead, for tonight, we are going to talk about mainly the two other teams in Pittsburgh sports. We'll talk about the Pirates a bunch tomorrow. Here in a few moments, we're going to start off the evening talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if it wasn't time to worry about the Pens and their postseason chances, their playoff odds, then it sure as hell is now. I mean, I was going to try to give them the benefit of the doubt after, that stinker that they put out there on the ice against the Carolina Hurricanes from Sunday. It was, the back end of a back-to-back weekend series, and, Pens always lose to the Hurricanes. So I was just willing to, chalk that up as it is what it is showing. But then last night, Colorado Avalanche, a team seeking revenge after the Pens put BTA on them in Colorado last week, was hoping for a strong response for the Pens and to really make a statement, punching in the mouth one of the best teams in the NHL. That did not happen. As a matter of fact, more issues for the Pens only continued to happen and probably get worse. And now the Pens, not out of the playoff picture quite yet. They're still in a playoff spot, but they have fallen a little bit. So should it be time to worry about the Penguins or not? We'll talk about here in a moment, recapping last night's game and looking at the current playoff picture and the road ahead. After that, we are again under a month until the 2026 NFL draft in Pittsburgh. And today, multiple big pro days going on around the college landscape. I believe Alabama had their pro day today. A couple other schools had theirs as well. One big one that the Steelers seemingly always go to in full force, or at least somewhat close to it. Ohio State, they had their pro day today, and contrary to reports from last night and this morning, two very important members of the Steelers did not go. There were some other, somewhat important members of the Steelers front office and decision-making group at Ohio State's pro day in Columbus today, but should we make a big deal out of the Steelers, not going in full force like they have in the past to Ohio State's pro day? We'll talk about the Pens. We'll talk about that. After that, we'll get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news, really the top other stories from the past 2 days that we won't get in too deep on. And then along the way, any of your questions, thoughts, comments, opinions, anything like that you want to put in the comment section, please do so. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like, share, leave a comment. I enjoy interacting with you folks when you do such things. So would greatly appreciate it. Also, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And tune back in a little bit later on tonight, hopefully not too long after this live stream, for a new edition of SCSR 60. Already seeing 8 of you live viewers in here right now on your way in. Please make yourself known. Leave a comment in the comment section. Going to be starting off talking about the Penguins. We'll then quickly turn it into some Steeler talk here for the day. The Steelers overall, I think they're overall going to, take up the most time here tonight. There's really, the big Penguins topic about them about them and their game last night. And the Pirates, I mean, not too much news or things to talk about on them besides tomorrow's game, which we'll do then. So we will talk a lot about the Steelers and the NFL draft here this evening. But like I said, let's start off on the ice. Pittsburgh Penguins hockey and the Pens. Now it's starting to get, worrying time for the Pens, where every single game, it is just so important. It's the, sports cliche. Every single game at this point in the season, it's a must win. From here on out, it truly is for the Penguins if they want to stay in this race for a while until it comes down to the end of the season here, because last night and the performance from Sunday, not the Pittsburgh Penguins team that we have seen throughout the season up until this point. Pens in action again, coming off of that stinker against the Carolina Hurricanes from Sunday. Good news, Evgeny Malkin, he was out of the lineup injured, a new upper body injury according to head coach Dan Muse, so it is different from the shoulder injury that he had, which knocked him out for most of January. Ville Koivunen was recalled from the minors and inserted into the lineup. Ryan Shea also made his return to the lineup. Arturs Shilovs was in net to start off the game. Pens played the Avalanche pretty good. I was expecting, a fiery start for the Avalanche. I guess they did have one, but the Pens were able to weather most of the early storm and were able to, get a little bit of offensive zone time against the Avalanche. Unfortunately, with that offensive zone time, Parker Wotherspoon tried to do a little bit of dipsy doodling and dancing up near the blue line. Puck was stripped by the most dangerous player besides Sidney Crosby on that sheet of ice in Pittsburgh last night. Nathan MacKinnon takes the puck away from Wotherspoon, goes down on a breakaway, just absolutely blazing speed from him, gets a shot off and beats Arturs Shilovs to make it 1-0. Pens midway through the first period last night did respond. Igor Chinakhov continues to be one of the best midseason additions by any team in the National Hockey League, scoring a new career-high 17th goal. Also on that goal, Chris Letang, who is stuck on point number 799 in his career for a few weeks now. Letang got his 800th career NHL point last night. He became the fourth active defenseman and the fourth member of the 2005 NHL draft class to record 800 career points or more. So congratulations to Tanger there. After that, good feeling for Letang. Good job by Chinakhov, still remaining probably one of the hottest, if not the hottest, Penguins forward on the team right now. After that, wheels fell off, and they fell off, and the car crashed hard, and a fiery inferno ensued after. About 5 minutes to go in the first period. The Avalanche, 3 goals in those last 5 minutes of the period. You had Anthony Mantha give away a turnover. Whoever Malinsky is, the defenseman for the Avalanche, dude, hit the crossbar, and then 10 seconds later, he got the puck back again and then buried it. That made it 2-1. The Pens got hosed on an absolutely terrible penalty call. That trend continues, the most egregious one coming up here in a moment. Tripping call, which was completely non-existent, gets called. Pens didn't even have time to argue it because the Avalanche scored immediately off of the first face-off of the power play. And then Parker Kelly, a fourth-line winger for the Avalanche, buried it, I believe, in the last 2 minutes of the period to make it 4-1. So Pens down 3 after 1. Maybe, you had the thought in your mind, the Pens can do what they did at times this year. They struggle against good teams early, then they, play themselves back into the hockey game in the second and third period, get a little bit comeback started. Thought that was going to happen. Justin Brazeau gets a rebound in front of the net, wraps it around the goaltender Wedgwood, and puts it in to bring the score deficit to 2. But then the Avalanche, I think they took a timeout or something. They looked at it on the bench. They challenged for goaltender interference. Now, immediately, looking at the play, live action, real speed, didn't think anything was there. Brazeau, well outside the blue paint, contact was initiated by Brazeau, but he was pushed back into the goaltender a little bit by Devon Taves. Didn't really see any, argument to stand on there for the Colorado Avalanche. Referees looked at it for about 2 minutes. They come back after video review. There was goaltender interference. The goal taken off the board for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Death, taxes, and the Penguins getting absolutely you-know-what on every single goaltender interference challenge, whether they initiate it or the opposition initiates it. It's beyond frustrating. It's almost comical at this point. You just laugh every time, there's something, questionable about a goal. You just immediately go say, coming back on the Penguins. Here we go. I even made that joke right before they announced it last night, and sure enough, there it was, an absolute gong show of a call and a botch by the NHL, situation room and the officiating, everything. And this would probably be a little bit less upsetting if literally 3 days prior, you didn't see Erik Karlsson get launched into Arturs Shilovs and the goal stood for the Winnipeg Jets. Literally, you just saw the most demolition derby type event featuring a goaltender that you've seen all season in the NHL. That, call stands. I guess you're allowed to, obliterate a team's defenseman into their own goalie and it'll count. But Justin Brazeau, who wasn't in the blue paint, he was pushed back maybe to the little red part, the little red outline of the blue paint by the defenseman. And Wedgwood, well out on top of his crease, even outside of it a little bit, he gets nudged ever so slightly by Justin Brazeau, takes an Academy Award-winning dive, and then that gets called back. The NHL, again, because they, I guess, are doing this after every single goal this year, they threw out another BS explanation of the goal that said, video determined Pittsburgh's Justin Brazeau contacted Scott Wedgwood in the crease and impaired his ability to play the position prior to the goal. Take three minor issues with that. One, Brazeau, not in the blue paint. Even if he was, it was an Anthony Mantha situation from like a couple of months ago when the Pens were in New York to play the Rangers, and his skate ever so slightly, like the goaltender wouldn't have even been able to feel it, ever so slightly had his skate in the crease. Wedgwood, was he really impaired to play his position? Because, I mean, as the lifeguard on duty, that was a hell of a dive and a half. And three, another case where the call on the ice went one way, but the textbook definition of what happened on the ice in the NHL rule book says that the play should have gone the other way. They say Brazeau initiated contact. Brazeau, no. He was backed into the goaltender by Devon Taves. It literally says in the NHL rulebook, incidental contact with a goalkeeper will be permitted and resulting goals allowed when such contact is initiated outside of the goal crease, provided the attacking player has made a reasonable effort to avoid such contact. Brazeau, damn well sure, tried his best to avoid contact. And yes, the contact was initiated for the most part outside the blue crease. So I have no idea what sort of bizarro land we are in anymore with NHL, with the NHL and what is goaltender interference. I keep making the comparison that goaltender interference in the NHL is like what's a catch in the NFL. At this point, it might be even worse, because Pens now 0 for 8 this season on goaltender interference challenges. Even if you had the flip of a coin, which this is probably how, these reviews go anymore, even if, you'd probably luck yourself into getting at least a single of those 8 goaltender interference calls correct. But no, doesn't matter. As long as, the Pens get screwed on it, that's the call that the NHL is going to go with. I made the joke, in the title for today's show, does the NHL have it out for the Pens? I say that jokingly, but am I really joking anymore? I don't know, because it's literally ridiculous that in a 72-hour span, the Penguins can have their own goaltender rammed using Erik Karlsson as a shield in that goal count, but then Justin Brazeau doing his damnedest to stay out of the blue paint, even though the Avalanche players backing him into his own goaltender, and the goaltender, for the most part, is outside the blue paint. That's going to get called back. Get the hell out of here, because this is absolutely ridiculous at this point. I don't know where to go from here with goaltender interference. And it's stuff like this, the Sheilov thing. At least they won the game in against the Jets over the weekend. But it's stuff like this that, you can ask yourself the who the hell knows question. Maybe that goal stands and the Pens start that comeback. They get a little bit momentum on their side. Maybe they do what they always do against tough teams when they're not playing their best. They at least get the game to overtime and get a point. But nope, Pens screwed again for the 800th time this season on a goaltender interference. And just absolutely unthinkable about, what is goaltender interference, what isn't anymore. You knew the game was over. Video, Crosby, never seen Crosby really, put his head down like, you got to be kidding me, before he did that last night after that call. Phil Bourque on the Penguins radio TV broadcast, he said what just went off on the NHL, pretty much asking, what are we doing here? I'm in the same boat as them, because, just goaltender interference. Figure it out. Have every team, submit a video of what they think is goaltender interference and what they think is not. Have the NHL, read its rule book literally every single time there's a goaltender interference call anymore, because it's getting ridiculous. And the Penguins, they're the sacrificial lamb in this, goaltender interference gate scandal right now, to be honest. But moving on from the goalie interference, I think I've got it all out of my system now. To be honest, the goaltender interference, call, no call, didn't really, at least, realistically, not hypothetically, have any effect on the game last night. Pens gave up another bad goal to make it 5-1 in the later on in the second period. Artur Sheilov's an absolutely terrible rebound given up. Rickard Rakell was able to score a gentleman goal in the third period with like 8:13 left to go. Avalanche, they get an empty netter, 6-2, the final score. The Penguins, again, a humiliating loss, back-to-back games on home ice. They did get some help, but not a whole lot in other games going on around the league last night. The Chicago Blackhawks, which they're still, they're kind of like the Pirates almost of the NHL, if we're being honest here. The Chicago Blackhawks, they got a generational player in Connor Bedard, but they're still, trying to climb out of what seems to be a never-ending rebuild. They were able to beat the New York Islanders 4-3. Islanders, one of those teams right on the Pens' ass in terms of standings and playoff seeding. Toronto Maple Leafs, they were able to help out the Pens' wild card chances, taking down the Boston Bruins. But the Columbus Blue Jackets, taking on the Philadelphia Flyers last night. The Jackets beat Philly 1-0, and they woke up this morning second place in the Metropolitan Division, leapfrogging the Penguins in the standings. So the Pens, if you look at the standings, now third in the Metropolitan Division. Remember, in each division, each of the four divisions, the top three teams make it automatically. And then after that, the wild card, it's split up, between the conferences. Two teams could be two teams from the same division, one from each division in their conference that make it after it. So right now, the Jackets, they got 87 points, right ahead of the Penguins, second in the Metropolitan Division. The Pens sandwiched in between the Jackets with 87 points and the Islanders with 85. The Pens sitting there at 86 right now. And they are just, to be honest, one bad night away from being out of the playoff picture altogether. Because let's just say, Islanders hypothetically jump them in the standings, Pens move down to fourth, then, are they even in a wild card spot? Because you got the Bruins in the Atlantic Division. They're fourth in that division, holding the top wild card spot at 86 points. Ottawa Senators on a 4-game win streak. By the way, guess who the Pens play tomorrow night? Yeah, that's right. The Red Hot Senators in their own barn where the Pens seemingly never win anymore. So the Penguins last night falling more than just one spot in the eyes of many. Their odds for the playoffs, aside from, what you may see on sports betting sites, taking a big hit last night. And now they really got to get on the gas pedal, break this 2-game losing streak, and get things going in a hurry, because it could get real ugly real quickly. And all of a sudden, the last month of the season here, the little bit that you play in April, may not mean a damn thing anymore, because the back end of March chewed you up and spit you out. So we'll see here. Things aren't going to get any easier for the Pens, both on the ice and on the schedule. Anthony Mantha, the latest Penguin to get bitten by the injury bug day to day with a lower body injury. He will not travel with the team and play in Ottawa tomorrow night. So with that, good old Kevin Hayes, who has very sparingly seen action this season, he hops back into the lineup as a second-line winger with Tommy Novak and Igor Chinakhov. Very excited to see Kevin Hayes, who's seemingly lost all ability to skate, get meaningful ice time. Maybe we put him in on a couple of face-off draws. At least maybe he'll be able to help us a little bit there, win a face-off here and there, because the Pens have been terrible at that. And then, like I said, schedule ahead for the Penguins. They got the Senators tomorrow night. Sens on a 4-game win streak in Ottawa. Ottawa probably the second house of horrors behind Carolina for the Penguins, where they almost never win. And then on the weekend, Saturday, they come back home. 5 o'clock puck drop against only arguably the second best team in the NHL, the Dallas Stars. And then Monday, Tuesday next week. By this time next week, we will not only know whether the Pens beat the Senators and Stars, we will also know if they are still in a playoff spot, because they play 2 teams fighting for playoff spots. The New York Islanders in Long Island on Monday. Very excited to see the Pens, go there, because they haven't won a meaningful game against the Islanders in Long Island in quite some time. And then they play the Detroit Red Wings back at home next Tuesday. So 2 teams pretty hot right now, and 2 teams clawing and fighting and battling their way for a playoff spot, just like the Pens. Each of those 4 teams going to be on the Penguins' schedule next. So very excited to look ahead to that. Starting to be a nervous time here for the Penguins. 4 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream here. Let's move to a little bit of a brighter topic, I guess you would say, even though it is a bit confusing. Going to move over to football now. I'll get into a little bit of football talk here this evening. Like I said at the top of the show, NFL draft just under a month away, and pro days around college football continuing to on go right now. There were, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 pro days going on around the country here today. And the Steelers, they were rumored to have pretty much a full house of decision makers in Columbus, Ohio today for Ohio State's pro day. Last night, you had from Ryan Fowler, NFL insider, that Omar Khan was expected to be at Ohio State's pro day. Same thing for Ryan Fowler, or same thing for Mike McCarthy. Most likely, if Khan's going, you'd assume McCarthy would be there as well. Even both of those guys, McCarthy and Khan, were reportedly credentialed this morning at Ohio State's pro day. So there were lanyards with credentials waiting for them at the Ohio State practice facility today. Those lanyards, they just sat there and collected dust this afternoon. Alan Saunders for SteelersNow.com. No McCarthy, no Omar Khan at Ohio State's Pro Day today. Also not there, even though there were some small rumors that they would be there. Both coordinators, offensive coordinator Brian Angelico and defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. So the Steelers, according to various reports out there, could have had pretty much the full house there at Ohio State's Pro Day today, but not a single one of those main four decision makers, other than Art Rooney, were at Ohio State's Pro Day today. And the only people that were there for the black and gold, you had assistant general manager Andy Weidel, you had former Steeler GM Kevin Colbert, not sure what he was doing in Columbus, and a current player, former Ohio State Buckeye Jack Sawyer, was back in Columbus here today. And I am a little bit skeptical as to why the Steelers were not there. I think you've only had one pro day where the Steelers, that the Steelers were at in full force, and that was Georgia's pro day a couple of weeks ago. Other than that, it's been, scouts and the occasional, tier 2 decision maker in this pre-draft process. Andy Weidel, Dan Colbert, the director of college scouting, Nick Sabowski, the director of player scouting, but only one pro day still to this point where Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy were both there. And it makes me wonder, what's going on here, because they didn't go to Penn State's pro day. I haven't seen anything where I assume they were at any of the other pro days today: Alabama, Arizona, Nebraska, Texas A&M, UCF, Wake Forest. I doubt they were at any of those. And now they miss out on what I think has, annually been the most attended pro day for the Steelers. Feels like every year you're guaranteed to see Mike Tomlin and the general manager in Columbus, Ohio, scouting talent, because Ohio State is just a factory of NFL talent, probably the best factory of NFL talent in college football. So this year, they weren't around there. I have no idea why. I'm searching for an answer, trying to think of an answer. This is a new process, after all, with Mike McCarthy, new Steeler head coach. Maybe pro days aren't, the biggest thing of importance to him. But even if that's the case, I mean, it's a quick, flight there on the Steelers' private jet to Columbus. You can be there in an hour, maybe less than that, from Pittsburgh to Columbus. I mean, just no excuse for being that close to not go to Ohio State's pro day. And even though you may not draft someone out of Ohio State, or every single thing about the players at Ohio State, might as well go there. Gauge the scene, check out what other team scouts and coaches and general managers, what players they're talking to, stuff like that. So I have no idea why the Steelers weren't there, especially with the talent. Like I said, safety Caleb Downs, Steelers met with him at the combine. I mean, these two guys aren't going to be anywhere close to the Steelers picks, but Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, if the Steelers want to be aggressive and go get a wide receiver, Carnell Tate, arguably, as a matter of fact, probably the best wide receiver in this entire draft class. Got some other guys, defensive tackle, Caden McDonald. Let's just say worst case comes where there's no, good offensive lineman or wide receiver left on the board at 21 for the Steelers. Could you go in the trenches and, solidify life after Cam Hayward on the D-line with Caden McDonald? Could have gone and talked to him again here today, but nope, nothing for the Steelers. Just had Andy Weidel there, maybe a scout or two as well. I think Jim Ward, one of the Steelers' local scouts in that area, was there as well. So just really curious as to why the Steelers didn't go full force at Ohio State here today. At the very least, they could have gone and, maybe done a little bit of early scouting for the 2027 NFL draft class. Julian Sayin, quarterback for Ohio State. Not in this year's draft, could be in next year's draft. He was throwing today. Could have taken a peek at him, but just nothing. And really makes me curious. what the Steelers have planned for the draft. Do they already have their mind set on some guys? Are they going to throw us a curveball and, draft someone that nobody really had pegged to the Steelers? I don't know, but still it just feels like a slam dunk. Hey, let's, take a afternoon. We can be back in Pittsburgh in like 4 hours. Wouldn't be that much time out of the day. We leave ourselves, an hour and a half for travel both ways between Columbus and Pittsburgh. Go in there, watch practice for an hour, see what our rivals are, what players our rivals are talking to, say hello, dap up a couple of players, give Ryan Day a fist bump and blow out of there. But nope, none of that for the Steelers. And I'd be shocked at this point, now that they've skipped out on Alabama's pro day most likely, Texas A&M's pro day most likely, Ohio State's pro day, and of course Penn State's pro day. Penn State's pro day was the same as Georgia's last week. Steelers went to Georgia's instead of Penn State's. Curious, and I wouldn't bet a whole lot of money at seeing between now and over the next week or so. I forget when pro days wrap up for all colleges. Would be shocked if I see Omar Khan or Mike McCarthy at any pro day other than the one they did at Georgia. But we'll have to wait and see here, because just really odd and trying to gauge what the Steelers are doing in this pre-draft process. All right, ladies and gentlemen, about a little over half an hour into the live stream here tonight. Going to real quick take a pause and go to the Twitter timeline here, the X timeline, see if there's any new news popping off since we have been live. If there is not, then we will go right into the extra Pittsburgh sports news for tonight. Most of it will be around the Pittsburgh Steelers, a little bit more draft stuff, a little bit of free agency stuff, even some, off the field drama stuff between former Steelers. I think you know what I'm referring to with that. Honestly, there wasn't any drama on this latest ex-Steelers podcast appearance. See in here if there's anything else. The heck is that? I have no idea what the hell I'm watching here. Something from John Boy Media Baseball. No idea what the heck that is here. NFL, I see, has made official the start of the 2026 season. The Seahawks will be hoisting their banner and kicking off the season on a Wednesday. Then Thursday, September 10th, San Francisco 49ers and LA Rams in Melbourne, Australia. Wouldn't mind, as long as there's the promise I'm not going to get bitten by a snake or a spider, because pretty much every single most dangerous thing on the planet lives in Australia. Wouldn't mind seeing Australia someday, but do not want to take the risk of possibly not making it back. Looks like Najee Harris. This is pretty fresh from Ian Rappaport. Former Chargers and Steelers running back Najee Harris visited the Seattle Seahawks today, per The Wire. And then the plan is for Najee to visit the Las Vegas Raiders next. Both of those places seem pretty fitting for Najee Harris. Of course, a big lumbering running back playing for the Seattle Seahawks. Going back to the days of Marshawn Lynch, maybe Najee, who's good friends with Marshawn Lynch, goes to the team where that his mentor used to play for. That wouldn't surprise me, especially after the Seahawks. They just lost Kenneth Walker for big money. They got Zach Charbonnet, who's not really a number one, I guess. I mean, Charbonnet, he came in for Walker and just finished off a couple of touchdown runs. And then could they draft a running back in, I wouldn't say round one, maybe round two, the Seahawks? You got, Jadarian Price on the board. He could be a nice fit with Zach Charbonnet. And then the Raiders, Najee, from Oakland. Is he from Oakland? Yeah. I want to say that's what his pre-draft that's where his pre-draft thing was. So good stuff there for Najee. Hoping that he does well. Still got a rough rap at the end of his Steeler career, and sucks the Achilles injury. So hoping the best for Najee. Hoping he stays healthy. With that, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for Wednesday, March 25th. Going to go back to football. Like I said, stick on that topic. The Steelers, they got a lot going on around them off the field. They made their two most recent free agent signings official. Travis Homer, Brock Hoffman. Hoffman going to fill in as the replacement, I guess, for now, for Isaac Seumalo. We'll see if it sticks. I think Hoffman, maybe the fringe starter type, not a starter. We'll see if the Steelers add in the draft to push Brock Hoffman, but hey, gets to reunite with Mike McCarthy, his old running back, Rico Dowdle, and then Travis Homer, like we said, a pretty much core special teamer. People initially made a thing, what does this mean for Caleb Johnson? It means really nothing. Steelers lost a bunch of core special teamers, including special team coordinator Danny Smith. So, getting back a couple guys who are only going to play special teams for the most part, that is pretty critical. On to former coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, back in the news here today. And I thought there were rumblings that Tomlin was just going to, disappear and go off into, life after football and not do media or any sort of thing. Doesn't seem like that is going to be the case for long, because Mike Tomlin yesterday signing with a media agent in preparation for his post-coaching career. He joined Ryan Glasspiegel and Michael McCarthy, not the new Steeler head coach, Michael McCarthy. Michael McCarthy and Ryan Glasspiegel of, I believe here, what sort of brand they are, FOS Media and Entertainment. So those two guys now representing Tomlin in any media appearances he's going to do from here on out. Fox, CBS, NBC, pretty much anything or any outlet that wants Tomlin to go on, they're going to need to go through this agency now. So looks like Tomlin officially out of coaching now, because he is doing or going to be doing presumably the media tour here soon enough. We'll see what he does there. Speaking of former Steeler coaches, Mike Sullivan, not the Penguins Mike Sullivan, the old quarterback coach, Mike Sullivan of the Steelers. Not sure where he was last year. I forget where he was last year, but he is back in a quarterback coach position, and the quarterback he will be coaching will 99.99999% be Fernando Mendoza. He's signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, getting hired to be their new QB coach. Apparently, he was interviewed for the job a few weeks ago, was going to go into college or something, but now is backed out of it and is going to go coach the new number 1 overall pick. Over to some former quarterback talk, away from former head coaches. Ben Roethlisberger, he was on the Debo and Joe podcast yesterday, the Joe Hayden and James Harrison podcast, and thought maybe there was a chance that Ben and James Harrison could maybe do a little bit of a tag team on Joey Porter Jr. after Porter called out both of them a few weeks ago. Not really much of it that came up. Instead, it was Ben joking about, owning the Browns. It was him talking about Antonio Brown, calling AB one of the most talented guys he's ever been around. And also Ben putting out there his idea about what the Steelers could do for a quarterback as a plan B if Aaron Rodgers were to retire. And I said this jokingly yesterday, and now Ben's trying to speak it into the universe here. or I said it jokingly back on Monday. Big Ben saying that the Steelers should bring back his old buddy, the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs, to be the Steelers quarterback should Rodgers not return. Yeah, not sure how I'm feeling about that one, but I mean, it would be a hell of a story. Dobbs, Ben's old buddy, coming back, and he's going to compete with Will Howard and who the hell else knows, Mason Rudolph. You're really going with a past, present, and future approach in terms of Steeler backup quarterbacks here, all fighting for a starting job in 2026. Let's hope that worst case scenario doesn't come to be. Last few things here. Steelers news, extra Steelers news here for the day. Speaking of old quarterbacks, like Ben Roethlisberger, dude who faced Ben many, many times in his career, Joe Flacco, returning for a 19th season with the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Flacco will not be completing the AFC North tour. There were some speculations out there. Could he be an option for the Steelers if Rodgers were to take his sweet old time? But nope. He's going to stay there in Cincinnati to back up and most likely, because dude gets hurt all the time, eventually start over Joe Burrow. So Flacco staying in the AFC North. And the last thing here, two things here on the day, these more national NFL news stories. The draft here in Pittsburgh next year, or here in Pittsburgh this year. Next year, Washington will host the NFL draft. And then in 2028, do not know where the NFL draft is going to be quite yet, but Minnesota has put in a bid to host the 2028 NFL draft. Could maybe in that draft, the Steelers find a next franchise quarterback in that draft or next year's draft if they don't take one this year, or if Will Howard doesn't pan out. We'll have to wait and see. Keep eyes on Minnesota for the draft in 2028. And the last thing here, the NFL Competition Committee apparently proposing 5 new rules and 3 new bylaw changes for the 2026 season. They'll be voted on at the owners' meeting by Art Rooney and all the other power holders of the NFL next week. Rule number 1, the onside kick can be allowed at any point in the game. I think with this new dynamic kickoff, the onside kick was only under 5 minutes or 2 minutes left to go in the game, something like that. Rule number 2, eliminate the loophole incentivizing an intention kickoff out of bounds after a personal foul. Steelers exploited that one. Danny Smith was really, really proud of him last year when he was able to exploit that. And then I believe the Steelers had it exploited on them. So the Steelers were on both ends, the dishing out and receiving end of that loophole. Rule number 3, adjustment to 5 players on the line for kickoff returns, 4 in the setup area. I think that's some sort of alignment change to the kickoff. 4, allow the NFL office to consult with officials regarding all potential disqualifications. I guess we're going to be looking at, who gets kicked out, who doesn't anymore, reviews wise. Rule number 5, allow the NFL officiating to correct all clear and obvious mistakes made by potential replacement officials. So if one official goes out, another comes in, fix, any clear or obvious mistakes made by the new guy. The bylaws here allow the NFL to correct the bylaws right here allow the NFL to adjust cut down dates for teams playing internationally in week 1, open league office and run transaction waivers on Labor Day weekend, and allow players on the PUP list to open up 21-day practice windows after week 2. I think most, if not all of those things might get a little bit of tinkering and eventually get passed. The most difficult thing probably to fix in there, probably the rule number 3, adjust the kickoff return setup. But we'll see here. If any major changes happen, we'll come back here and talk about them. Moving into some other extra Pittsburgh sports news here for today. Back into Penguins hockey for a second. awesome news yesterday from Penguins general manager Kyle Dubas. He confirmed to TSN, the ESPN of Canada, that Erik Karlsson will not be traded and will not be moved this upcoming summer. TSN official tweet here: while Karlsson remains signed through next year with a cap hit of $10 million, he is owed a $6 million signing bonus on July 1st of this year, and just $1.5 million in remaining salary. Beyond that, Penguins general manager Kyle Dubas confirmed that the veteran defenseman will not be traded this summer. Could not agree more with that decision by Kyle Dubas for multiple reasons. Number one, Erik Karlsson, career renaissance and a half with new head coach Dan Muse. Looks like you take the ultra defensively minded head coach and Mike Sullivan out of the equation here. A new head coach comes in, tells Erik Karlsson to be Erik Karlsson, the three-time Norris Trophy winning defenseman, maybe the most offensively gifted defenseman of all time. And look, goes out there, and Karlsson, maybe the best player on the Penguins right now. Still waiting to, see Sidney Crosby look like Sidney Crosby Foley after coming back from the injury. Evgeny Malkin, he's in and out of the lineup with injury. Chris Letang, massive decline in play this year. So Erik Karlsson, don't think you need to make all that hard of an argument that he is the best Penguins player right now. And with the defense behind him, falling apart, the goaltending being sketchy, you might as well, keep the one good thing that you have, not named, a forward right now on the team. So good stuff there, keeping Karlsson. Also, with the NHL salary cap seemingly going up every single offseason now, $10 million. It's now the new $6 million or something like that in the NHL. So keeping Karlsson a no-brainer. Trade rumors have been, buzzing around him for a little over a year now, but Dubas coming out and nipping it in the bud right here, not letting that, spread any further, I think is good. And some people brought up, remember Dubas said that the Penguins were going to keep Luke Schenn when they acquired Schenn at last year's trade deadline, but then Dubas ended up trading him. Schenn didn't want to be here. Karlsson, I think by all accounts, wants to be a Pittsburgh Penguin. Loves it here, loves his teammates, loves the city. I think EK65 is gonna, stay here, and Dubas will live up to his word. Last thing here on the Penguins for today, Sidney Crosby apparently is going to stick around for a little while, according to Penguins beat writer Josh Yohe. He, in one of his latest articles on the team, Crosby, 1 year left on his contract, but I've yet to speak with anyone close to Crosby who thinks next season will be his last in the NHL or with the Penguins. So Yohe saying Sid going to be here a while. I think we're going to say the same thing about Evgeny Malkin when that 1 year extension gets done this offseason. The core four for the Penguins, at least going to run it back next year. Moving into baseball, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping up the show here this evening, was pushing off any Pirate talk until the ending of today's show, because that'll help transition us into tomorrow's live stream when we come back for Pirates versus Mets at 1 o'clock. Please come and join the live stream tomorrow afternoon as we cover opening day for Major League Baseball. For the Bucks here, we now know the starting pitchers that will be going against the Pirates in all three games of this upcoming series. Skeens, of course, versus Freddie Peralta tomorrow to kick things off. The former Brewers ace taking on only the best pitcher in all of baseball. Saturday, Mitch Keller versus left-handed pitcher David Peterson. He's been there for a little while with the Mets. And then on Sunday, probably going to be a bullpen day for the Bucks. Carmen Mlodzinski getting another shot in the starting rotation. He will take on Nolan McLean, who just played for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic, the top prospect in the Mets organization from last season. So McLean versus Mlodzinski, Keller versus Peterson, but before those two, Skeens versus Peralta tomorrow. The Bucks also, they officially put out there today the finalized roster. We talked about it back on Monday, I believe. No shocks at all in terms of, the big guys making the club. Connor Griffin was sent down. Billy Cook and Nick York stay with the team as reserve infield, outfield options. Jared Triolo will be at shortstop. You got Nick Gonzalez, who will be the starting third baseman, according to Don Kelly from last weekend. And then the bullpen here, you got Hunter Barco and I believe it was Jose Urquidy. Those two gentlemen making the bullpen. They were in a three-way fight with Mike Clevenger for that spot. The Bucks tomorrow, no lineup news yet. There is a report out there from DK Pittsburgh Sports. O'Neal Cruz apparently going to be in the leadoff spot tomorrow. I mean, you can question all day long whether Cruz is best suited for the top spot in the lineup or not. And Paul Skeens getting the bump again, announced today that he will be teaming up with the Gary Sinise Foundation and that he will donate $100 for every single strikeout he records in the 2026 season. Skeens says he has increased his campaign goal with the Gary Sinise Foundation to $150,000 and put a whole bunch of stuff talking about the Sinise Foundation on his Twitter. Go check it out. Wrapping up the Bucko Talk here for today with a few other things. Apparently new wardrobe additions are coming to the Pirates. This one you will get to see tomorrow, according to Jason Mackey, who now works with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Been trying my best not to say with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Mackey reporting that the Pirates will have an honorary sleeve patch to celebrate the late, great Bill Mazeroski. Or, excuse me, it won't be tomorrow. They're waiting until the home opener to unveil those patches, but is great that the Bucks are doing that again. They did it at the end of last season after the passing of Dave Parker, and now they're going to do it again for maybe this entire season with Bill Mazeroski. Glad to see they're honoring the Bucko legend. On to other uniform news. The Pirates teasing a little bit last night a new City Connect uniform, or at least an alternate uniform. Have no idea if they're going to keep the yellow City Connect jersey like this one hanging on the back of my chair right now. It's an old Key Brian Hayes one on the back of this chair. But this one, black with not, your bright yellow or gold colors like this. Instead, it's more of like a faded tan, but it looks gold as well. Going with a really rustic pirate look with this jersey. Got an awesome sleeve patch too. Little bit of a red accent on it, like the Nike logo on the front. It's red. Maybe the Bucks bring back a little bit of the red brimmed baseball caps. Those would be sick from, back when I was a kid. So be on the lookout for new pirate jerseys coming up. Apparently AJ Burnett going to be a part of the reveal in that pirate video they posted last night. And the last three things here on the Bucks for this evening. The Pirates going to be seeing a lot of a current divisional foe, Pete Crow Armstrong, center fielder, young phenom for the Chicago Cubs. He yesterday signing a 6-year, $115 million contract extension with the Cubs. Of course, we all know about Crow Armstrong and the elite potential that he has. Really shined in the World Baseball Classic with Team USA. And Crow Armstrong was approached last offseason by the Cubs. He was offered $66 million in a contract extension. He waited a year, made his MLB debut. Now he is going to get well over double that amount. I, at the same time, would be happy that this guy would be good to warrant, double the salary, but also it I think would displease the Pirates, especially the pocketbook of Bob Nutting. Connor Griffin comes to mind when I see that extension for Pete Crow Armstrong, because the Pirates approaching Griffin with a 8-year, I think was rumored, 8-year, well over $100 million contract extension, and they couldn't get the deal done. And, Griffin not signing that deal. Wonder if he makes his MLB debut this year. Could he see a doubling in, that contract where he now wants $200 million? And that right there would give me great worry that the Pirates would commit to it. I mean, Griffin would obviously be worth the $200 million extension if he flashes everything we think he could be this upcoming season. But we all know who the Pirates owner is here, and you really think he's going to give $200 million to Griffin just like that with the lockout coming? Yeah, the Pirates, I'm really hoping that they get this contract extension done at some point this season, because if Griffin, comes up, shows that he can be an all-star like Pete Crow Armstrong, doubles, the salary on a possible contract extension, that'd be bad news for the Pirates. I'll tell you. I mean, not bad news, because Griffin would be doing well. Bad news because we all know Bob Nutting isn't going to commit to such things. Griffin did sign a multi-year contract, by the way. Was not with the Pirates. It was with Under Armour. That's a new brand deal he has going. And Griffin going to officially be reporting to AAA Indianapolis per the Indians. You got the Indians going to have a hell of a roster in AAA to begin the season. I mean, Justinson Garcia, who ripped the cover off the ball in spring training, Connor Griffin, Esmeralyn Valdez, Tamar Johnson, some top hitting prospects for the Bucks right there. Wilbur Dotel, Antoine Kelly, two solid pitching prospects for the Bucks. So the AAA Indianapolis Indians, they might be just as fun to watch as the Pirates, hoping that all goes well right there. And that pretty much does it for the extra Pittsburgh sports news that I have here tonight. Looking one last time here through Twitter to see if there's any new pieces of information before we log off for this evening. Looks like Ty Simpson, second quarterback behind Fernando Mendoza in this upcoming draft class. Looks like Simpson is going to go and do a private workout for the New York Jets. Jets, 2 first-round picks. They pick second, right behind the Raiders, and they pick 16th in this year's draft class. They maybe get a solid defender, see Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, the 2 Ohio State guys, one of them being mocked to the Jets at 2, and then at pick 16, could they get Ty Simpson with no other team really that desperate in the quarterback market ahead of them? See, is there anything else here? Do not think so. That's cool. Got Salvador Perez of the KC Royals getting a World Baseball Classic tattoo on his leg. That's cool. Looks like another former Steeler is on the move for a visit. Akello Witherspoon, according to Mike Garafolo, going to work out or visit with the Washington Commanders tomorrow. So moving back east, Akello Witherspoon. And think that is just about going to wrap things up here tonight. I think the Giants are going to go with Caleb Downs at number 5. John Harbaugh meeting with Downs after the Buckeyes Pro Day today. So might be able to pencil that one in with more clarity for the 5th overall pick. And a little over an hour into this thing, I think that's going to wrap it up here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because don't think there's, that much else going on, to be honest, other than opening day in baseball right around the corner tomorrow. Shout out Flacco, shout out Concepts in the comment section. You guys coming in here before we log off tonight. Concepts, AJ Purnett, always the favorite pirate of mine. Seems like a cool dude. Batman is a cool dude. He impersonates coolness. Seems like any dude who pitches with that much intensity is all tatted up. It's going to be a Pittsburgh favorite. Feels like a Yinzer type of pitcher, pitcher that embodies the city of Pittsburgh. Grit, tough, determined. AJ Burnett. Hopefully the entire Pittsburgh Pirates team can embody an AJ Burnett mentality and get the Pirates back to the postseason for the first time since Burnett was still pitching in Major League Baseball. So that's going to wrap it up for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you all one last time for coming on here with me tonight. This was fun, talking a little bit about the Penguins and what the hell is goaltender interference anymore. I don't know. You don't know. The NHL themselves, they don't know, even though there's literally written in a textbook right there what they declare is a goal and what they declare isn't a goal with goaltender interference. The Steelers not attending Ohio State's Pro Day. Interesting. Have only been to one Pro Day. Omar Khan, Mike McCarthy together. Will they be one or the other or both at any other Pro Day between now and the draft? Starting to highly doubt it. And the Pirates in action tomorrow. Concepts here. BPA is the pick. Pencil it in. I'll remain a broken record. BPA. You'll be here on draft night. Concepts saying BPA. Get best player available. I'm really hoping that it's a wide receiver or it's that or it's Vega Eowani. I think all other options are, starting to dwindle in my mind as we near in on the draft. But we'll see here. Under a month until we get our answers to all these questions. Excited to watch the rest of the lead up to the draft and then the draft itself that Thursday through Saturday. It is going to be a hell of a time here on the channel talking about all of it. So thank you all. Have a good rest of your Wednesday evening. On your way out, please subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel again. Like, share, leave a comment in the comment section after the fact. If you have any thoughts, questions, or opinions on your mind, I'll get back to you at a little bit of a later time there. And tune in later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen. Back here tomorrow for Pirates versus Mets. It's going to be a hell of a good day. Opening day for baseball is here, and let's ride this thing out. Hopefully the beginning of a good season for the Pittsburgh Pirates. See you tomorrow at around 1 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.